Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Mountain Mindset. I am your host, Gio McNee, and in this week's episode, I'm going to cover off one of the things that I hear just about all the time. Why? Why such an important question? Why do we do these things? What's our purpose? What's the results that we're looking for? All these things matter. And one of the things that people get stuck with the most is they don't know their why. And a curious question came up. Someone asked me, they said, how do you know that that question is the most important one? The why question. And it made me think, because I read this book here called Start With Your Why, written by Simon Sinek. At the time of writing this book, he had the second most clicked TED Talk that had been viewed on YouTube. And he asked an important question. The story behind Simon Sinek was that he started to get down. He started to, he was in a corporate job doing really well. All the signs were great. Everything was, moving the way it should. He just sort of lost the passion. He lost his drive, lost his mojo. So he started to think to himself, what was the cause of this? Like, I've got a good job. I'm doing well, being well paid. Like, why do I feel this way? What is it that's wrong? And the reason that his video was the most clicked on YouTube video was because for this very thing. So this thing here called the golden circle. I'm going to show you this now. The golden circle is that there. And the golden circle has three words. And so there's a small circle on the inside, it has a middle circle, and it has an outer circle. And in the inner circle it has why. And in the middle circle it has what. And in the outer circle it has how. So let's dig into what that means, because when you can do this basic exercise, what Simon is getting you to do is to break up the reasons that you do things and why you would want to do things. So let's cover off some of the sections in his book. So here's some notes from the book. Simon had lost his why, and then when he discovered that his why was to inspire others, his confidence and optimism returned. And he started to look around at, like, why, who else has a powerful why? And one of the things that he goes on to mention, I'll just read this here. He says that he soon found that this not only applies to people, but also to companies. A case in point is Apple, which has strong competitors offering cheaper products with more features. But Apple's customers are loyal, inspired by their motto, think different, which perfectly describes their why. So they want to be different to their competitors. They want to empower their users. They want to give them back their independence. They want to give them that individuality. They don't want to just go with the flow and run with the herd. They want to be different and out there. So it goes on to say that, the Apple didn't fall into that kind of generic company where all competitors were all trying to do the same things. And sometimes that can make a difference. Like I often harp on about LinkedIn, that LinkedIn is full of people just saying all the same thing. I certainly get emails all the time. As an investor, there's no end of communication of people wanting to float an idea to you for investment. But to be honest, all the messages look the same. And it's very occasionally that you see someone that's just a bit different, and that's what Apple had nailed. And that's a company that's doing, what's Apple's value now? Over $1 trillion. So you go, look, there's the company that's absolutely smashing, their product line out the park. They don't have the most products. They don't have the biggest product line. And they certainly don't have, like, all the features that are available in the market. What they have is they have a very, very targeted approach to the things that they deliver to build a loyal customer base because of their why. And that's the importance of why. So if you're struggling to find your why, because this is the thing that people often do, and I've said this time and time again, one of the things that I help when I coach people is I can speak to people that are like your Simon Sinek's in the world, the corporate world, that they'll ask the question. They'll be like, I don't know why I feel, I don't know why I feel off. I don't know why I feel that there's something wrong. That way where if you are, you know when you maybe go abroad and you head down a path and you're looking to head to the beach, and then you somewhere along the lines realise that you don't think you're going the right way. Then you pull out the map and you realise that you've took a wrong turn, and then you need to head this way instead. That's a bit like your why. So you walk along a path thinking everything's great. That's like your life. And then at some point along the line, you get this feeling that isn't right, that you're not on the right path. That's like your life again. So it's about working out what is your why. And in the example I've given you, it's getting to the beach. So although that's a nice simplistic way, then what is your beach? Meaning, what would be your why? And Simon says in his book, he says, look, one of the best ways to find out your why is to look into your past. So I'm just going to read some a summary from this part of the book. So it says here, a great way to find your passion is to work through the golden circle. The golden circle was introduced by Simon's previous book, which he illustrates how we tend to operate on 3 levels. First level is the outer circle, is about what we do. The middle circle is about how we do it. And finally, the inner circle, which is the golden circle, determines why you do it. And when all of these circles are aligned, you find your passion for your work. So while on a flight, he met another man called Steve, who had been at his job for 23 years and was still excited about his work. He says, how was this possible? He says, what Steve did produce was steel, and how he did it was by manufacturing a pure product that was easy to recycle and created less pollution. And why does he keep the environment clean for future generations? Steve's why was what kept him energized and passionate for over 2 decades. So if you're still working to find out your why, look into your past. So that's the thing is like in that case, that guy's, he is finding a compelling reason why his job's good. So he's doing a great job for the future, producing the best work that he can do. And that guy feels very, very good that was on the flight. And you get a lot of people that are inspired by helping others. You get a lot of people that are inspired by climbing the corporate ladder, people that are inspired by, being part of a team. You get people that are inspired by pushing themselves. You get people that are inspired by growth. So there's lots of reasons that people can feel that they're on the right track. And I guess one of the things that can be really difficult is when you don't feel aligned. So maybe your work life's great, but your family life isn't, and you're like, there's something amiss. Maybe your family life's great, but you're under financial pressure. Maybe you've got a great family life and maybe you enjoy your work, but you are really bugged with the idea that you could be doing more. So these are the things that you've got to ask why. And this book is a really, really good way to help you find out what it is that is important to you. Because imagine that you could get the result that you wanted in life by just asking some basic questions. And imagine that you could feel energized and motivated and driven to get those results because you just felt everything was, more balanced. You just felt that you were on the right track. That's why it's such an important exercise to go and dig deeply into these things, because when you don't, you just end up walking down the wrong path and you're never going to find the beach. So don't get into that trap. Don't fall into that pattern where you find yourself just keeping going down the road for the sake of it. If you do feel that feeling, then start asking those questions, because the sooner you do it, the sooner you can get on the right path. The sooner you can aim for that beach off into the future. And another reason is see if you are on the right track, confirming it is no bad thing. Because if you confirm it, then you can feel really, really, really good about the fact that you are really happy with what you're doing. And one of the things that I experience a lot of all the time is you get someone can be, say you've got, I don't know, 10 things in your life and 8 of them are going well and 2 of them aren't. All they can think about is the 2 things. And, the 2 things overwhelm their perspective so that they think everything's terrible and everything's bad. And it's like, right, okay, just take a step back. Let's take a step back and let's do a quick score. Is the score for your life really as bad as you think? Let's start giving you credit for the things that you've done well. and let's appreciate the great things that you've got. Let's have some gratitude for the wonderful things that are in your life. And then you start to shift that perspective. And that's one of the ways that you can start to really get some momentum powerfully and positively in your mind. Because when you start to ask those questions and you start to get a balance in your perspective, it becomes much, much easier to see why. You know, and one of the things that you, life's got loads of decisions in it. So there's loads of choices that you get to make. And the difficulty is that sometimes you just don't know what the right choice is. And that is usually more often than not because you don't have a clear idea of where you're going. Because if you did, it's as simple as going, well, which one's going to get me there quicker? Which one's got the least resistance? Which one is going to be the road that I'd prefer? It's a bit like if you go on a journey, it's like, do you want to go the super fast motorway or do you want to go the nice scenic route? It's going to be longer, but it's much more enjoyable. Do you want to go the motorway because you can get there as soon as you can, but you're going to be going faster and not going to see much scenery along the way. So that's like some of the questions that you've got in life. But if you don't know your why, you could just be driving around in circles. And there's nothing more frustrating. Like if you know when you put all this work, you put all this hard effort in, and you just think, what am I doing? How did I get here? It's like you're on the wrong road. That's why you need to do the inside work. That's why you need to do this. And one of the things that when I was researching the particulars of this book, I came across something triggered in the back of my mind. So Tony Robbins works with a guy called Dean Graziosi, I think that's his name, or how he pronounces his name. And Dean tells a story about when he was starting out and he was just, he wasn't quite sure and he felt a bit lost and he employed the services of a guy called Joe Stump. And Joe Stump does like really, really high level mentoring. So Dean had went to him and says, look, this is how I'm feeling. And Dean recounts the meeting. He says, he just asked me the same thing over and over again. He said, because Joe's exercise is called 7 Levels Deep. And for the Mount Mindset crew that have joined in on the 7 p.m. calls that we did, they will know that we did this with one of the members. It was so powerful to see, because what happens is there's a funny thing that happens when you do 7 Levels Deep. So 7 Levels Deep is you ask, why is that important to you? So you ask, what is it that's important to you? And you get an answer. And then whatever that answer is, you ask, why is that important to you? And then you need to answer that. And then you keep doing it until you get 7 levels deep. And what happens is your first answer will be something like, make lots of money. And then your next answer is like, why is making lots of money important to you? And then you would go on all the way till you get to the question number 7. And Dean Graziosi at the time was telling me that he got stuck on question 5. And Joe laughed. He says, because everyone gets stuck in question 5. And he says that it's so common that people, you're trying to get to your why, like your real core of why you're doing this is here at number 7. And the answer at number 7 is very, very different to the answer at number 1. And when you get to the point where you get to the 5th, that's where you get maximum resistance, because it's the one that you find most difficult to do. But when you break through it, you get straight to 6 and straight to 7, and now you know why. You're 7 levels deep. And I guess Simon Sinek's way of explaining that is in a slightly different mode, which is, the golden circle. And I just think that idea of what are those two methods and models trying to do? They're both trying to get to exactly what it is that you want and why you want it. And then, as the golden circle goes on, how are you going to get it? And that is the sort of clarity that you can get from doing this exercise. I've seen lots of people that do know that are happy, and they do know their why. And I've seen lots of people that are unhappy that would have the outward appearance of being successful. And you ask them and they don't know their why. Or they think they know their why, but it's not. It's 1 level deep. It's not 7 levels deep. So that's the power of knowing your why. So if you are out there and you want to do some exercises to get to your why, I would highly recommend start with your why. Read this book and also Simon's second book, which is Find Your Why. So not too different. This is the first one, and the second one's Finding Your Why. And also, if you want to check out Joe Stump's exercise, check out 7 Levels Deep. You'll have a bit of fun with it. Don't take it too seriously. Just enjoy. Just put it in and see if you can get past question number 5. There's a great sheet online which is just basically fill it in, and we'll keep asking you the question until we get to the 7th one. Really, really good example to do, and I would love to hear if you do it. If you do it and you can get past, let me know what number you got to before you got really stuck. If it's whatever it is, just let me know, because it'll be good fun. And if you like this sort of content, then there's plenty more to come. I'm very excited to let you guys know. You may have seen the clip where the visualization video series is coming to you. It is currently being edited. It is very ready to drop. So you know that we do visualization calls with the OG crew in the morning. That's deep hypnosis, deep trance work, where we are doing essentially mind programming for success. We are hardwiring the subconscious mind to use all the powerful tools to get the best results out of you. So things that you see in these books and all the other books that we've covered off, we're going to take all the knowledge, wisdom, experience, and we're going to ram it into one training plan. But the visualization video series is your footstep in that door, because maybe you're not quite ready yet to go all out attack mode. Up every morning, first thing before you do, getting on that visualization call. Maybe you're not quite there yet, but don't you worry. I've got you covered. The video series, you can work at your own pace. You can do in your own time. And there's some great meditation stroke mind programming videos on there that can help guide you with the framework to explain the science behind it, the framework that you can apply and you can listen to over and over and over again. So I hope you guys will enjoy that. Keep an eye out for it. It's going to be dropping very, very soon. Check show notes for the 7 Levels Deep. And remember, hit me up on social media if you have given it a go, and let me know what number you got to. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. But from me this week, that's a wrap.